Julia Scavo. I'm Romanian, and I came to France like 17 years ago for studying. I was admitted in an engineering course, which I followed for 2 years, and then I changed to pure mathematics because I think this was my hobby during all my previous school and in a secondary school, in fact, and I changed to mathematics, passing my degree, and then the French contest, which is the CAPES. It's a contest equivalent to a master's, where we actually learn how to teach. And I was meant to teach mathematics in secondary school in France. After my internship in a high school in France, I easily understood that not all the people are actually fond of mathematics, as I was at least. And being a little bit deceived, I started following other hobbies, like being interested in gastronomy. First of all, I was in Lyon, so Lyon is kind of a capital of gastronomy in France. So I got into contact with associations that were motivating me to follow this path. And this is how I reached to the wine and beverages area, because it's so complementary and French people know how to do it so well, pairing food and wine and other beverages. And I started actually teaching small courses for wine enthusiasts during my spare time, and with the Slow Food Association, which I integrated. And I really understood how complex wine could be, and also linked to many other fields. And before getting into the sciences and mathematics, I also enjoyed reading literature, music like classical music and ballet dancing and other kinds of art. And I actually thought that wine can really link all these fields, like artistic fields, like science, including chemistry, physics, also being used by the rigor that mathematics brought to me, and the mathematical studies, statistical studies, for instance, and also a piece of art like literature, enjoying reading, enjoying traveling through reading, and linking this to other arts like music, like painting, and other forms of expression, including the gastronomy, which is considered to be the culinary art. So I found myself into this field, which is wine and food, wine and beverages. And I started like a self-made student, passing the French sommelier diploma. I wasn't in class, I was actually learning on my own, because I was still 1 foot in the mathematics business. So I really started a little bit in between. And I eventually passed the French sommelier diploma. Then I go back to my country, to Romania, to have an experience, because it was easy for me as a Romanian, rather than getting into the business directly in France, where I was just a foreigner. I went back to Romania searching for some experience in the field, and I competed for the Best Sommelier of Romania 2008, reaching the 2nd place that time, which was a good achievement for a newcomer. And I came back to France. I also enrolled in another diploma, which is a marketing and sales for wines and beverages and spirits diploma, which is a BTS, we call it in France, technical and commercial. And I passed 2 years training for this diploma, both, let's say, not online because it didn't exist, but both as a personal study and in classroom for courses like marketing, sales, and economy, which were less specific for me. And meanwhile, I was in internship in 3 venues, including 1 estate, 1 Michelin star restaurant, and a wine boutique with some wine bar part. So I could see all these three aspects of the profession. And I was also pushed as a Romanian candidate to represent my country to the best sommelier of the world 2010, where I reached the top 12, and the best sommelier of Europe 2010, where I entered the top 8. My experience developed with some working on the floor as a sommelier in Monaco and the Sporting Monte Carlo for some part-time sommelier job, but also including in integrating Monsieur Ducasse' team in the Trattoria in Monaco for one season. I also continued competition and eventually reached the 5th place in the best sommelier of the world 2013. My first finals in 2013 in the best European sommelier was the best result Romania had ever got, and mine too, because I was the 3rd in Europe, 3rd best sommelier of Europe. I also won the Central European sommelier competition by 2012. And everything went on. I again competed in 2017 in the best sommelier of Europe, again reaching a 3rd place. So again, a bronze medal for my country. 2017 was also the year when I got my Master of Sport, being the first woman to be entitled since 1988, since the competition exists, and the first foreigner, because beside a Portuguese, only French man got this prize. I also competed in 2019 in the best sommelier of the world and ranked 7th. In 2017, I also enrolled in the prestigious diploma program of the WCT Trust, being a level 3 graduate previously. And during 2 years, I prepared also in classroom and also kind of online program with homeworks and personal tastings, this prestigious program, which is the WCT, so the diploma of the WCT program. I finished it by June 2019 and obtained my diploma with distinction, which is, of course, the top grade, ranking between the 5 people in my promotion in the world who got this distinction level, and also being a top score student with sommelier background in the Unit 3, which is the most prestigious unit and the largest one, where most of the students fear the examination. So I got the top score, and also was a sommelier student, which actually awarded me with a prestigious inaugural Gérard Basset Memorial Prize this year in January at a graduation ceremony in London. Sharing, I would define this like in one word, sharing, because when we teach, it's not like only giving information, only giving knowledge, is sharing it, because meanwhile I give this information to my students, I also enrich myself, and when I prepare my courses, I study. I'm myself a perpetual student, actually, because we need to be updated. We need to understand that we share, that we not only lecture, we not only give information, but we kind of enrich each other during this this teaching process. I was very happy to meet SHG because I found a world that is very complex, so a mix of course, wine passion in other fields like the marketing, like everything that surrounds the hospitality business, and other courses that are very complex. And also this mix reflects itself in the mix of cultures that I could meet. So people come from all over the world to this prestigious institute, and it creates a mix of cultures, and this is complementary to sharing. And I myself, coming from another culture, I feel part of this mix, so I really appreciated that. Beside water, which I could be champagne and port. I would have two, if I had two bottles to drink on a deserted island, it would be a bottle of champagne and a bottle of port. Yes, of course. I think Christmas is a period when we think at kind of hearty wines, and I would mention all the fortified wines can be a very good and very interesting idea. So mentioning, of course, port and Madeira and sherry. So I think this is a very good idea because we have a lot of dishes that can pair with if we want to open them. Not only the desserts, there are other pairings that we can practice, like with foie gras, like with meat in a kind of sweet and sour, and paired with sweet sauces like a Rossini tournedos, for instance. So I think there are many possibilities to open this kind of gift for Christmas. And also these wines are filled with history. They represent actually a piece of history, and as I mentioned, it's like offering a book or a piece of art, because I think when thinking to port, to Madeira, to sherry, they really mark the history of humanity. And we have the possibility to have very old vintages, and even wines that are not vintaged wines, but they are blend of wines where you can get a sip of history, because sometimes you can, in the blends, you can get some wines that past ages and ages and sometimes go to the 19th century. So I think this is a very good idea. Of course, champagne is feasting wine, and it's always good to have this in your cellar. So I also think it's an excellent idea, offering champagne. What I would also like, because we think of wine, but there are other beverages. I think for this period, we can also think of sake, for instance, because it's something which enters our culture more and more. Of course, people do not always have the good idea about sake. It's not a hearty beverage. It's something very delicate, very fine, and they always provide very beautiful packagings, and it's also a piece of culture because it rhymes with the Japanese culture and a certain philosophy. So I think for people that are really sensitive for something like elegancy, like delicacy, like fineness, a sake bottle of a prestigious kura, of a prestigious brewery, could be a very interesting kind of cook contemporary mix of French cuisine and many other inspirations. I would say I have a favorite dish. I mainly cook everything that comes from the sea. I love fish and seafood and vegetables. I think this is the core of my cuisine, and it really represents this kind of contemporary version of cuisine. But it also happens to me to cook more hearty dishes. Like 2 days ago, we had a virtual lunch with the Sanchinian AOP, and everybody cooked the same dishes, and we had something like lamb shoulder and some beef chunk and really terroir dishes. So I really enjoy this part. It's not 100% my cup of tea, but I enjoy cooking it at least. But anyway, I'm really focused on vegetables and fish and seafood. I really love everything that comes from Asia, or the Asian inspiration, and most of it Japanese inspiration. Yeah, and I try to have a kind of elegant and delicate style of cuisine. And I also like, because I'm a big fan of sweets, I also like to try some pastry, even if it's a different universe than the cuisine. But it's another kind of discipline and rigor. And I also enjoy that because, as I told you, I love fortified wines, and among them, I prize most of them the port. And we sometimes need some sweets after that. Well, I would like to motivate all the students from SHG, because we are there for them, we are there with them, and we share these difficult moments, which are difficult for everybody, even if we try to make it so that it doesn't seem difficult. And we do the most to help them, to motivate, to bring them to their achievement and to their goal in the best way, even if we change a little bit of our way of working. We are getting more digital, we're getting more in the online process.